Part 2 of my How to Ride a Motorcycle video series. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a pre-ride inspection that you should do before each and every ride, and also how to shift and brake properly on a motorcycle.
Let's go for a ride! You are watching CycleCruza's all-in-one motorcycle channel. Subscribe today! This video is for entertainment purposes only. I highly recommend everybody take the MSF course to get hands-on instruction to learn how to operate a motorcycle properly.
Okay, we'll start it off. Pre-ride inspection. First thing you want to do is check underneath the bike for any leaks of any kind. Oil leaks, coolant leaks, anything. So if you don't see anything underneath the bike, then the next step is to check the oil level. Unfortunately, with this particular bike, I actually have to pull the dipstick out, wipe it off, stick it back in, and get the proper level, which I've already done. But for my WR250R and my former CBR 600RR and a lot of other bikes out there, they have an oil level window where you can just hold the bike upright and you look at the oil level window and see if the oil level is fine. So the oil level is fine. There's no oil leaks or coolant leaks. Then the next step is to check the air pressure of the tires. And for mine, I usually do 35 psi for the front and rear. But if you look at the rear swing arm here, it actually gives a listing of the maximum psi for the front and rear tire. For this CBR 1000RR, it's 36 psi front and 42 psi rear. Now those are max pressures. So like I said, I do 35 front and 35 for the rear. Next step is you want to check the condition of the tires. You want to make sure there's no nails or any imperfections in the tire, any bubbles or anything. If the tires look good, okay, then the next step is to check the condition of the chain. You want to make sure there's not too much slack. Actually here on this bike, it actually lists the free play should be no more than 30 millimeters of free play. So if it's too much slack, you need to adjust the chain according to the manual for your particular bike. And also look, like I said, the condition of the chain. I highly recommend that you clean and lube your chain at least every 500 to 700 miles. You definitely want to keep up with the chain because it's going to help you maintain good fuel efficiency. If you let it get rusty and don't lube it often, clean and lube it often, it's going to, like I said, reduce your fuel efficiency. And also, it can cause maybe the chain to deteriorate and snap. So you want to have, this is your lifeline here. I mean, the chain, you want to make sure it's in good condition. And the next step is you want to check and make sure your turn signals are working properly and your headlight. Okay, you see here in the back I have an integrated turn signal, tail light with integrated turn signals. See, that's working fine. Okay, that's working good, and that's fine. Okay, you want to check the headlights working good. Check the high beam is good. Okay, so that's all good, and that's really the main things you should check for right off the bat. Like I said, the tire is most definitely in the chain. And also your oil level, because if you don't have enough oil in your bike and you have a leak, that can end up causing the engine to seize if it runs out of oil. So that is, which could possibly buck you off the bike if the engine seizes. So that's something to be aware of. Like I said, you want to make sure that your bike is in good working condition. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, now it's time to learn how to ride the motorcycle. Okay, first off, I highly recommend that you don't start on a CBR 1000RR. I mean, this bike, first gear can run up to like 80 miles per hour. So for those of you noobs out there, you get on here and you go to put it in first gear and you give it too much throttle it could actually pull the front wheel up and buck you off the bike. Because these bikes are powerful. I mean, you should know what you're doing when you ride a super bike or super sport. So, with that being said, make sure you put your kickstand up, because your bike won't let you. It'll cut off if you try to leave with the kickstand down. Okay, turn the bike on. Hit the starter switch. Which, by the way, first let me go see if I put the kickstand down and I try to put it in the first gear, it'll cut off. Just wanted to show you that. But before I get started here, I also forgot to, I just want to show you all the components first. You have your clutch lever here on the left. You have your shifter here. You have your front brake here, and your rear brake is the lever here on your right side. Okay, so let's get on the bike, put the kickstand up, turn the bike on. Here's your starter button, and by the way, you should know that your kill switch is here. If you ever need to kill the switch to the engine, it's usually right here on the right side, and it usually has, it's red with like an X on it, and it says engine off. Okay, now the bike should be in neutral when you start it. If it's not in neutral, you need to pull the clutch in, but I highly recommend that you start the bike out in neutral. Okay, the bike is turned on, and you generally want to let the bike warm up for a minute or so. This bike is already warmed up because I've been riding this bike. So we'll get started here. The shifter, one click down, the very bottom is first gear. One click up from first gear is neutral. And then a click up second, click up third, click up fourth, click up fifth. And if your bike has a sixth gear like this bike has, then a click up to sixth. And then of course, every time that you shift to another gear, you have to pull in and release the clutch lever. Okay, but I'll cover that. And also that you know, when you're shifting up, you're going to blip the throttle down as you shift up. This is the throttle, by the way. You're gonna blip the throttle quickly when you're shifting up for each gear. Now when you're shifting down, you're gonna blip the throttle quickly.
The throttle blipping technique is done by quickly cracking the throttle open, then close, while you simultaneously squeeze the clutch and click the gear shift lever.
So, well, we'll show you that in this video here. Okay, first off, we're going to put it in first gear. Pull the clutch in and click the gear level down. You're in first gear. This bike actually has a gear indicator, so it tells you it's in first gear. And the next step is you're going, now this is where people have trouble starting off, is you're going to, as you're releasing the clutch, you're going to slowly give it gas, and you're going to keep giving it gas, okay, but you're going to do it slowly. So release the clutch. As you're releasing the clutch, you're going to give it gas at the same time, as you see there. There, it's in first now. That's the hardest part for new riders, is putting it in first gear. Once you're in first gear, then it's easy from there on out. Okay, so let's get out here on the street. And then when you come to a stop, by the way, you're going to pull in the clutch every time and then hit your front brake and rear brake. Okay, let's let this car pass here. We're in first gear still. Like I said, all stops, you're going to pull in the clutch. Okay, so now release the clutch and give it gas. We're in first gear. And a lot of you ask, you know, when should you shift to the next gear? There is no, what you don't want to do is you don't want to redline it in any gear, because that's going to damage, that could damage the engine if you redline it for too long. But I want to teach you to listen to the engine to make the shifts. don't look at the RPMs. Some people teach you, you know, at a certain RPM shift, or forget that. Listen to the engine. You want to keep your eyes on the road. And some motorcycles out there don't, like my WR250R, don't even have an RPM indicator. So I'm in first gear. You hear it whining? It's time to shift. See? It's high up in the RPMs. Now, like I said, you don't want to redline it. You're going to hear it whine when it's too high up in the RPMs. Like I said, when it stops, pull in the clutch. It all stops, pull in the clutch, and then tap down through the gears. That's what I do. Okay. Like I said, slowly let the clutch out, give it gas. I'm in first gear. And now I'm putting my foot underneath the shift lever, and I'm going to pull in the clutch, and then I'm going to click up once, and that's going to take me to second, and I'm going to blip the throttle at the same time, and I'm in second. Now when I go in third, same thing. I'm going to click up. I'm pull in the clutch, and then click up, and then blip the throttle just quickly. See that? See how just a quick blip. And now I'm in third. Now on some bikes, like smaller bikes, if you're too high up in the gears and you're going slow, the bike will lug, which you don't want to do. You want to stay in a lower gear so that you're ready to pull out of trouble at any time. I stay in a higher gear around town a lot of times in lower RPMs to save gas, but starting as a new rider, I want you to do it the proper way. Stay in a lower gear so that you're ready to pull out of, you know, in any given situation you need to power out. Okay, so I'm in third. So you would continue this pattern all the way up till sixth gear. Now as far as downshifting, you're going to basically the same thing, but you're going to put your foot on top of the gear shifter there. Well, first off, let's stop here. Pull in the clutch. Like I said, pull in the clutch at all stops. And then I usually click down through the gears. I'll pull in the clutch, coast up to the stop sign, and click down through the gears. Now I'm in first gear. So you're going to give it gas, let out the clutch slowly. And usually around town, usually you can stay in like third gear, you know, second or third gear. If you're just cruising around doing these speeds at 40 miles per hour, pull in the clutch at a stoplight, click down through the gears. You always want to, when you get to the stoplight or stop sign, you always want to click down to the first gear, because if you stay in a high gear and you don't click down when you get ready to go, the smaller bikes are going to have trouble, you know, going. It could possibly stall. Now, oftentimes when I'm at a stoplight, which some people don't recommend doing, I will actually sometimes put it into neutral, especially if there's a car behind me I see. I'll put it in neutral so I can take my hand off of the clutch, just to give my hand a break. But then you put back in first, like I said, slowly grab the clutch, slowly let off the throttle while you're giving it gas. You're in first. Come up to the stop sign, pull in the clutch, click down, make sure you're in first gear. Okay. And also, by the way, I forgot to mention that, of course, at every stop, or I believe I mentioned it, is you're going to, you know, obviously pull the front brake lever here and the rear brake together. They recommend, some people say 70% front brake and 30% rear brake. Some people say 80% and 20%. Don't worry about the percentages as much, as long as you are activating both brakes, because you don't want to get a habit into stopping with the front brake only on a sport bike, because that could spell trouble for you if you need to stop fast, a car pulls out in front of you, and you pull all front brake too hard, it could possibly throw you over the bike. The rear brake's going to help stabilize the bike. Okay, and also, you know, with the bike, you want to flip the switch to the right to turn on the turn signals, the right turn signal. And then when you made your turn, press in the button and it'll cut the turn signal off, which I have a bad habit of leaving the turn signals on, as some of you may know. Now see, I'm in first. You hear it kind of whining and saying, hey man, shift me, shift me. Okay, pull in the clutch, click up the second gear. There you go, I'm in second. Same thing for third. Click up third gear, and while I said, like I said, while as you're shifting, you're just blipping the throttle down. When you're downshifting, you're going to, like I said, you're going to pull in the clutch and you're going to push down. You're going to click down, and while you're doing that, you're going to blip the throttle. Okay, it's time to go. Put it in first, let the clutch out, give it gas. Okay, you hear the bike whining. It's telling you you're in high RPMs. You hear it whining. If it's screaming to you, it's saying shift, shift. So you shift second. See, it calms it down. Like I said, you don't want to redline it in any gear. So I'm in second. Click up to third, and to decelerate, to downshift, like I said, you're clicking the gear down, pull in the clutch, click down, and actually blip it, just a quick blip. So I'm click down the first gear just to show you here. Okay, pull in the clutch, click down, just a quick blip. It'll all come natural to you. It seems weird now for you, but it'll all be natural. It'll be second nature to you. Your body's going to do what it naturally does. So in times of emergency, it's going to do what it naturally does. And if you're only doing front brake all the time and a car pulls out, guess what your body's going to do? Your hand's going to pull all front brake. And you're probably going to panic and pull a lot of front brake. And that can end up throwing you off the bike. You losing control of the bike. As where if you using the front and rear, it's going to keep the bike stabilized. So I hope that helps you. I try to make it as simple as I can. But I'll tell you, do not have fear. Because if you come out here with, you know, being scared of cars and you're being scared of shifting, then you're probably going to have problems shifting and maybe could get in an accident because of your fear. Come out here like a boss. You know, come out with confidence, knowing that you will shift well, you will do well. But I highly recommend that you go ride in a parking lot first. For those of you that aren't going to take the MSF class, ride in the parking lot, ride out in rural areas with very little traffic. And so that you get the hang of riding, shifting the motorcycle, and feel comfortable riding the motorcycle out here, and then gradually introduce yourself to traffic. So if you have any other questions, I hope I've made this simple for you. But like I said, I highly recommend everybody take the MSF class. This is just to give you an idea, you know, to show you how to do it before you go, so that way you have an idea on how to do what you need to do, and it'll make the class a lot easier for you. But in part 3, I'll show you how to counter steer. So stay tuned. The next part coming up will be how to counter steer on your motorcycle. But if you want to see more of my videos, including the previous part that I did on this video, I'll include link to the first part of this series in the description and comment section of this video. But if you want to see more of my videos, go to my website at CycleCruza.com, click on the menu tab, My Videos. All my videos are categorized into various playlists. hopefully can find something that will inform you, entertain you. One of the playlists I have is for new riders, and that's all the videos I've done over the last 5 years that I feel can be helpful for new riders to help you get acclimated into the motorcycle life. But I appreciate all you guys, so take care, and we'll see you in the next part. Hit thumbs up if you like this video, share this video with your friends, and let's get more people out here riding a motorcycle. It's not hard, it's very easy. This may look intimidating and tough, but it's really not. It's very simple and easy. It's not that big of the worst. Like I said, starting on a small bike is going to be a lot easier and give you more confidence than starting on a big bike like this. That's all I have for you guys in this video. So until next time, we'll catch you guys later.
Hey, don't forget to check out my other YouTube channel that features the original bug-out moto van that is designed and built by yours truly so that I can live in my van with my motorcycle. So hey, check me out at youtube.com/bugoutmoto. Subscribe today.